Hi, Facebook world. My name is Daniel McNicholas, here with Channeling the Cosmos, helping empaths transcend trauma. And thank you for tuning in and watching this video. Today we're going to talk about emotional trauma. Super fun topic, but it's what happens. So, to be honest, pretty much 100% of us have experienced emotional trauma because our emotions were not, hey, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. Again, we're talking about emotional trauma and how all of us have experienced it. Because everyone as a child, their feelings weren't validated by either their father or mother. They were feeling sad and someone told them that feeling's wrong, just suck it up, get over it. Teachers told you that, coaches told you that, someone told you that. Your feelings just weren't validated as children. We pretty much have a society that emotionally abuses our kids pretty consistently. And obviously some is a lot worse than others, but everyone's feelings weren't validated at some point as children. And then we don't validate our own feelings, and it creates this constant cycle of really abandoning ourselves. And when we abandon ourselves and what we're feeling and what we're experiencing, then it creates a cycle of self-abuse. So it starts off with the kid. We came out as bright shining light, come into the world. Our feelings are validated. We're angry, and we're told to get over it. So we don't know what to do with our feelings because no one teaches us as children what to do with our feelings. That's not really what's taught to us, which you think would be really important because we all have feelings. When we become adults, we don't know how to validate our own feelings and deal with those feelings, and it creates a cycle of self-abuse over and over again, where we can't sit with our feelings, we can't handle them, we avoid them with every ounce of our being, but that's because we were taught to avoid our feelings over and over again with alcohol and drugs, and our parents did it, and it's just this constant cycle. And it's getting better from generation to generation. I want to have a totally negative light, but I also want to acknowledge that we all have emotional trauma in our systems. Obviously, some people have experienced much, much worse emotional trauma. I don't like to compare, but obviously it's heavier sometimes. And when there's this emotional trauma in the world and emotions are validated and our feelings are important, which they're the most important thing, we do everything because of feelings, then it creates this cycle where we just kind of are miserable our whole lives. So because we're not focused on our feelings, we're not focused on our happiness, we're focused on what to get done, what to do, what's next on our list, what is our next project, what our boss wants, what our parents want, which what our boss wants and our parents wants are very different. And we're just really pleasing other people instead of pleasing ourselves and be focused on our own happiness and focused on our own emotions. And this cycle is really, really destructive. And I'm bringing theory on through too at the same time. What he's saying is that we don't allow ourselves to be exactly where we're at, ever. It's just constant. We constantly fight reality. We're constantly changing it. We're constantly fighting it. We're constantly fighting our emotions. We're constantly doing better. And he's like, what's really better? It's kind of a joke. You're never going to be better. Things are just going to be what they are in each moment, and you're going to choose how you feel about each moment. And what we are taught many, many times is to fight. We've been taught to fight. We've been taught to push. We've been taught to make things happen. We've been taught to push through our emotions like they're a wall instead of honoring them like they're part of our beings. And that constant fighting of our emotions and fighting of where we're at and not accepting exactly what's happening brings more struggle. So the more you fight, the more things you have to fight. Have you ever seen someone that's a fighter? They always find another fighter. So when you're fighting your emotions and fighting your inner being, you constantly find things to fight. And it's a consistent pattern that escalates and escalates and escalates. And what people do is fight their emotions. They have a battle with them. They have a battle with themselves. I'm not supposed to be where I'm at. I'm not supposed to feel this way. I should be doing better. I should have more money. Hey, thanks for tuning in. We're talking about emotional trauma and how we fight our emotions. And instead of just being with those emotions and allowing them to happen and not fighting them and being with them and knowing that you're exactly where you should be. I think right now in this energy, especially through saying with the full moon, like just knowing you're exactly where you're supposed to be right now and you're feeling exactly where you're supposed to be, everything is exactly how it's supposed to be. Again, exactly how it's supposed to be. It's really important to know, even when you're feeling angry, feeling sad, and feeling anxious, is exactly what you're supposed to be feeling based on what's happening. And that's perfect. And not to fight it and not to fight those emotions. And what we've been taught, again, the emotional trauma, is to have different emotions than what we're having, and that we should be doing something different, that we should be getting better grades, or we should be having a better job, we should have a bigger house, or we should be in a relationship, or we should get out of this relationship, or whatever shoulds you have. But everything is happening externally and internally is exactly how it's supposed to be. And the emotional trauma comes when you're feeling sad or angry as a kid and you walk up to your parent and that sadness, you're like, I feel sad. And they're like, well, you just shouldn't feel sad. Everything is great in your life. That is abuse. When you tell someone that they shouldn't be feeling what they're feeling is wrong, it's an emotional abuse right away. So, and no one's doing this maliciously, and it's not a judgment of parents. Hey, Chris, thanks for tuning in. Glad I scheduled it. But that is, so when anyone does it to anyone for any reason, that's what it is. And the problem is it's happened to us so much, now we're doing it to ourselves, because obviously we model our parents. So if our parents did it, we do it. I think of kids that didn't want to go to school and they were angry and they're like, I don't want to go to school. And the parents like, well, you should. And this is not that big of a deal. Like, it is a big deal to that little kid. That little kid going to school is scary. And especially if they're an empath and they feel all those emotions and they're getting bullied, like obviously you're like taking them to somewhere they don't want to be. And obviously it's like us going to work that we don't want to go to that job per se. It's the same feeling. And it's okay for someone to not want to go to their job, but it's not okay a kid wants to go to school. It's kind of ridiculous. We expect kids not to have emotions and haven't been taught. And, this is kind of, or is, my purpose to teach people about emotions and what they are, because we aren't taught that. But it's so important. It's ridiculous. It's like we have school on algebra and calculus. 2% of the population uses it, and then we're never taught about emotions, which 100% of the population has. So it doesn't make any sense. And it's because our teachers couldn't teach us about emotions. They don't know about it. So, but it's validating your own emotions and understanding that whatever you feel and wherever you're at and whatever you're doing is perfect and it's okay. And you can be sad for no reason. You can be angry for no reason, and you can be frustrated for no reason. And thank you for agreeing, Amanda. I appreciate it. And really, emotions come for no reason. They come out of nowhere. They don't really have a reason. We pretend there's a reason for emotions, but really emotions are separate from our circumstances always. So our emotions just kind of come out of nowhere. Yeah, well, thank you, Amanda. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, that young age, it's just validating those emotions is so important. And knowing that whatever you feel is okay. And then, say, feel it, go through it, learn from it, those emotions. They're important. They teach us something, and we have to feel them. And the more we actually feel them, so emotion is kind of like a mess. I don't know if this example this Theoron's giving me, where if you don't feel it when it first comes, it gets worse and worse and worse until you feel it. But if you just, I don't want to say deal with, but you feel your emotions when they come up, or process them when they come up right away, it's much easier than when you ignore them. It's as if someone that ignored something for so long, it becomes bigger and bigger. So the more you're just aware of them and knowing that what you're feeling is more important than what you're doing. That's what I would always say. Feel. I would rather, if I focus on my feelings all day and I didn't get anything done on my list, I'm happier. Because that's what's most important, is what we feel. Because that's what we want, is to feel better. And by feeling our emotions, we feel better. It's like giving ourselves the attention we deserve. Yeah, it can definitely be a transition. Especially if you're feeling strong negative emotions, you're probably in a transition. So emotional pain many times is a growth. It's like if you were working out, you would use your muscles, and your muscles would get sore, and then they grow. So you as a being, a vibrational being, your emotions are your soreness, and then once you feel that soreness, you grow. However, at some point you have to keep on moving forward. We get stuck in the soreness of emotions because we don't feel them and process them and be with them. And that's really, really important to validate those feelings and to validate that little inner child that's there. And to feel that inner child's feelings, and you need help. Sometimes you need help to do that. If you've been through deep trauma, you're not going to feel those emotions alone. You're going to need help. I need help. Everyone needs help. I said that last time. To feel those emotions, those deep emotions. When someone's there with you, helping you, and this is why children need the parents, very helpful. And what you become is your own parent, your inner child. And that's where the healing happens. An inner child's a metaphor, obviously, to the part of you that was hurt at that time. Because most of our beliefs and our structures of our subconscious are there before we're 7 years old. So many of your patterns were just ingrained at that time, which is really important to know. And especially if you had a lot of emotional trauma and your emotions were validated when you were that little, because your parents couldn't validate their own and they did their best they could, then you're going to not do that as adults subconsciously. You're going to say, I shouldn't be feeling this way. Like, I shouldn't be angry. I shouldn't be sad. I shouldn't be disappointed, which is ridiculous. But you got to honor that part of yourself, even that says you shouldn't feel those feelings, because that's the sad part of yourself. So just knowing that, and knowing that everyone's been through that emotional trauma at some level, and knowing that we all have trauma. I have it. You have it. The whole world has it. You can't live in this world without being traumatized, unfortunately. And some people have been really traumatized, and I'm really, really sorry that you've been through that. I don't. Just never okay. Like I always say, again, we're talking about emotional trauma and how coping with your feelings, and showing what these feelings mean and what they're teaching us and how to process them and how to be with them and how to embrace them is so important. And the problem is we just haven't been taught that, and we haven't been to a school that's teaching us these things, and it hasn't rolled through. And I know I say that a million times, but it's really, really important that you basically don't have very many role models that are feeling their emotions, especially on the male side, but also the female side too. It's just not even allowed. However, the best arts and the best businesses and everything has come from emotions and emotional desire. I mean, that's the root of all creation, is emotion. So when we know that, then we can start accepting those emotions and feeling those emotions and validating ourselves and letting ourselves feel, and just knowing that we're exactly where we're supposed to be, and not pushing ourselves like we're a lawnmower that has to mow the whole lawn today. I don't know why they came through, but it is hidden culturally for sure. We have the pull yourself up with the bootstraps, get it done mentality, which isn't bad. I mean, that's great at times, but definitely with emotions can be really harder. Oh, there's a lot of emojis coming by my thing. That's awesome. The idea, I like emojis. They're angry, all different emotions. You express ourselves, but that's the point. It's just to honor those feelings, honor that part of you, and that's what will create the healing of that trauma deep within you. That's running your subconscious mind and running your system, and you're feeling fight or flight, and that's not your fault. It's just what it is, and that's why we all need healing. It's not that one person does, other person doesn't. It's not a judgment. It doesn't mean anything, but it's your pain. You have to handle it, and it's really, really important. So I want you, reach out to me. If you want to heal this emotional trauma that's in your system, I would be honored to be a part of your healing. Definitely reach out, and I hope you enjoy these videos, and I hope they help you, and I will see you next time. And thank you so much, you all, for tuning in, and I really appreciate you.